Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Outside Insider. We're still clawing through our Eagles 2025 rookie film room sessions, and today is no exception. We'll take a look at Kyle McCord, a quarterback taken a little bit earlier than some expected, ahead of the likes of the deep sleepers that the Eagles would later add in this draft. 3 picks before round 7, which is typically when you expect them to go bargain hunting, but wasn't the case this time. They got a fringe 5th round pick, ended up being a 6th, obviously. But Kyle McCord, a guy that has experience at Ohio State, at Syracuse, has put up some good numbers, was a Heisman candidate at one point. It felt like a deep value play. It was a very, very weird class for the quarterbacks this year. So the question is, what does he add to the quarterback factory? Because if you go and look at the Eagles quarterback depth chart right now, we know nobody's going to unseat Jalen Hurts, right? I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Kyle McCord is the second coming of, Peyton Manning, because he's just not going to be that guy. But if you have a developmental arm that can one day become a QB2, that can one day be offloaded in a trade, potentially to recoup maybe a 3rd or even a 2nd round pick, potentially even more, depending on that development, then it's a good business decision. And that's what we just want to work out today. Where is Kyle McCord at coming out of college? Why did he fall so late if he's better than perhaps many of the NFL execs perceived him to be? And more importantly, where does he lie in relation to the likes of, DTR, of Tanner McKee? They're going to be the real grading bars here. Because as you guys know, I'm a big Tanner McKee fan. All right, I will forever be waving the Tanner banner. I think he brings a lot of confidence, a lot of preparedness to the pocket. We saw him in, some short spurts last year really deliver that. Always looks ready to go. I think the development from year 1 to year 2 in preseason was certainly impressive enough where he's not gun shy. All right, you're not seeing someone that is just competing to make safe throws and cling onto a roster spot. This is someone that wants to develop, that wants to grow his arm, that wants to expand his repertoire of throws, and that shows in his play. So where does Kyle McCord fit in relation to Tanner McKee? That's the big question, and how intense is that training camp battle going to be? What's up, Greg? What's up, Duck? Nice to see you fellas in on this Wednesday night. Apologies for there being no stream on Monday. Body clock is in disarray. My girlfriend got back from Australia on the Saturday, so it was very much a case of kind of reacclimatizing to not being able to stay up until 5 a.m. all the time. And Monday just wiped me out. So we're back on here today, Wednesday. We're going to have a Sixers stream tomorrow. Phillies on Friday, potentially an Eagles one as well. And of course, then once the film rooms are done, it's going to be looking into training camp preview coverage and all of those good discussions. But before we get to those, it's time to break down some Kyle McCord tapes. So if you bear with me 2 seconds while I pretend not to be a boomer disguised as a 30-year-old. And what I'll do is... Oh, lovely. There's a lot of good tape. Cool. So I'll share my screen and we'll get cracking. I do need to still find a way to actually add some extra audio, some background music. I think that would help. But is this someone laughing over it, or is this just the tape? So this is against Miami. Apparently he threw, you can see very subtly on the screen there, very small. Maybe my eyesight's going, but 380 yards and 3 touchdowns. Oh, good. It's just the whole game. All right. So played at Syracuse in 2024. The season wasn't as strong as his Ohio State one, but I think that's kind of to be expected given the offense he'd be working with. So the things we're going to look at here, I mean, quarterback play, I think, is one of the hardest to evaluate if you're just a casual football fan or someone that just watches games. I think most people can look at wide receivers and quickly evaluate what a receiver does well, right? Anyone can look at a route tree, anyone can look at the speed, the physicality, how good they are in the air at the catch point, the ability to, shake defenders off, that sort of thing. Same with defensive linemen. You look at pass rushing moves, offensive linemen, a little bit trickier, but I think the same premises still apply. Quarterback gets really, really subjective because you really have to make a clear evaluation, have a full understanding of the scheme, which I admittedly don't, all right? I'm not a Syracuse fan. I don't know the first thing about the franchise other than they ruined my night a couple of times on College Football 25 over the last 12 months. But I think then what you have to kind of look for is just the basic traits, right? It's the footwork, it's the pocket awareness, the types of throw, the way the ball comes out. Is he able to manipulate defenders with his eyes? If we do get those other camera angles, which we don't really get from the standard TV one, you'll more get them, if they go from behind is when you'll typically see that and how the defenders move in relation to him. But you can pick a few things up off the bat. So you've got here, empty backfield, trips down the middle, two over on the right-hand side. You're going to, I would assume that's a screen on this side, like without seeing the play. Could be completely wrong, but just purely because that looks like a tight end here. So you're going to go block, and then that will, I'm assuming, be the speedy guy. So he's a little bit leaner here than the guy slightly positioned towards the inside. And then I'm guessing a couple come. I could be wrong, but you can't make these decisions or evaluations without knowing the full context of the scheme. So we'll be winging it, I think, which is fair. So if I'm wrong or you guys notice something with a defensive coverage or a particular play where McCord has found something that I've overlooked, then please let me know, because I think this is really good to try and dive into this stuff. Duck says he likes DTR. Thinks McCord beats him out for QB3, which is a very intriguing take. So hopefully I'll be on that bandwagon, because the more chaos in that quarterback factory, the better. Greg says we hope we get a chance to look at training camp battles. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what access we'll have as PSN this year. I think that's still kind of up in the air, where we're able to attend home games. I don't know training camp and stuff like that. I think it was like a circle back when we last spoke to them. But if we can get in there and take some videos and show them on stream and go through whatever players are lining up together, I think that would be really fun. So that's definitely a priority for us, is to hopefully get that access and, share that kind of content with you guys. Bear Brain says, I like DTR coming out of college. Haven't liked him in the league. That's fair. I mean, he hasn't really done much in the league, to be honest with you. I think it's just a tricky one. It's a really tricky one where, like, you're weighing up the exposure they get, the scenarios they get to actually do well, because you could make the same argument about, for instance, it's kind of a skewed comparison, but Nate Peterman, he was terrible for a long time, had one good game out of nowhere with Buffalo, and that kind of saved his career for a little bit. And there are a couple of other quarterbacks that have followed that same suit, where like they'll be around, they'll be a backup, they won't really do much, and they'll have one really good game, and then that's it. And they'll go to another team, and it kind of peters out. So it's difficult to evaluate, I think, any quarterback that isn't starting 10 plus games a year, because you're just not going to get a body of work to go off, which makes preseason more fun. If you're a sicko that likes tuning into preseason games, I think that's where the real gold mine is here. He also says, I watched McCord by proxy by watching some of the other players on this offense. So I'll see if I can guess which players you're watching. Okay, well, my first play call was wrong because that wasn't a screen. So completely out there. Quick throw, complete into a bit of coverage. We'll watch it again. Nice little drop back, stands tall. I mean, the good thing off the bat here, I think, is size, right? First play of the game. But we're talking about a guy that is literally 6'6". I'm 6'3", so I'd even be looking up to him. That's a big boy to have in the pocket. And as defensive linemen get bigger, as offensive linemen are coming in at like 6'8" now, almost lining up next to the big show. That size does matter. First throw is pretty routine. There's nothing too exotic about it at all. It's just a timing throw. Two-step drop. He's automatically locked into that read. He's got the leverage. Puts it in a good spot. The defender's not really going to have a chance of disrupting that one. So second play, same again over the middle. Nice soft coverage to kind of look at. There's nothing too much to worry about on that front. Another short one over the middle. So this is very much a managing offense here on this first drive. That was nice. I'd like to see a little bit more in the way of, this feels like a bit of a preseason run at the minute, but this is a 10-1 Miami team, and I think that kind of, explains it. He throws a touchdown pass there. Great bit of work by number 2. But I think, you kind of want a quarterback that can manage games against tougher opponents, especially coming out of college. You don't necessarily want a quarterback, as bad as it sounds, that is going to routinely put up 400 yards and look like the best player on the field, because that's great. But if that ego becomes a thing, there have been quarterbacks that have come into the NFL that should have been, top tier playmakers, and they just haven't been. Whereas if you can get someone that understands how to manage a game, how to move an offense slowly but steadily down the field, how to wear down a defense, that is so valuable. And if you get a mix of those two, then you're onto something. And that's kind of what I'm hoping McCord is. I don't know what this coverage is here from Miami, but completely misunderstood the assignment. My guess would have been they would have dropped this guy back into coverage, but it's just left a gaping hole. He's gone over here. There's not even a running back to worry about. Yeah, just really bad. And by the time the safeties realise it's too late, it's a one-on-one matchup. Receiver wins it really well. But just again, another really good. Like his eyes haven't moved, not once off the receiver. So that was so obvious. Well, look at that straight away, not moved, delivers the throw. I'd like to see somewhere he's maybe scanning the field a little bit. I think that's going to be much more of an NFL thing, right? Oh, that's a great throw, great catch. We'll watch that one again. There's a flag on it. I'm not sure what the flag's for. It was before the ball was thrown. But stuff like that, I think, is important. Like, can you go through your read progression pretty smoothly? Lost that ball up. I don't know if I would put that more on defensive back error or if they knew the play was coming back. I mean, there's a flag there. Is it holding? I don't know. Because the cornerback just gives it up. And I don't know if that would be... Yeah, okay, I think that must have been a flag or something. Comes off his read. That was nice. Comes off the read there. That was good. You can see him there. He's eyeing up that one. Doesn't get the break he wants. Very, very quick to come off that. And that was a good placement of the ball there as well. Like, if you just see where this ball actually hits, like you've got a defender wrapped around his waist. If that ball is anywhere near chest height, it's getting knocked loose. Puts that to a point where the player should make the catch and a defender's still able to jar it out. So he made the best of a bad situation there. But the play calling, I think, has been pretty pedestrian. Takes a sack there. This is the only thing with this style of tape is we don't know what's going on downfield. So has he missed an open guy? Could he have dumped it off? Could he have done something with it? Like you can immediately look at this guy, but his eyes aren't there. He's looking upwards. Could he have felt the pressure more there? Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest, he stepped back into that pocket, which is nice, kind of climbing the rungs back up the ladder. But the improvisation just maybe isn't what it would be for, comparatively, someone like Jalen Hurts. So you'd like to think in this situation, Hurts is going this way down here, tucking it, running round and running. And, McCord is sort of keyed into that progression to climb back into the pocket. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's something to be wary of, is that feeling of pressure. Does well there. He doesn't get fazed by it, right? Because, I mean, the other one, he took a sack. This play, he's got a player immediately closing. It's a great last lunge effort by the left tackle. But stands there pretty succinctly and drops the ball in between two defenders. Oh, we get a much better look here. That's nice. We'll come back to this a couple of times. I think that's a really nice play. So you can see where he's actually looking at number one, kind of moving him around the field here. Realizes that might be off. And then immediately just drops it in the bucket between two defenders. Really nice, really smart throw there for him, for sure. I think that's a really nice play. Very nice play. That's not great. The ball security element there. I mean, that's him trying to make something from nothing. Does he just drop it? Okay, he's tried to toss it. A little Patrick Mahomes number, and the defender's just got his hand in the way of it. Does well to recover there, but I mean, that's not the smartest play he's ever made. That, meanwhile, certainly is. That was very nice. But again, keyed in on one read. I don't know who that defensive back is for Miami, but he is absolutely terrible. That is 2 plays now where he just ends up like a 2-foot margin away from the player, facing the wrong direction, not making any contact. It's really bad cornerback play. Really, really bad cornerback play. I don't know who that guy is, but if he comes out of college, he's automatically not in my good books. That was nice. Took advantage of a guy falling over there. They love these level concepts. I think you see that a lot, obviously, at the college level anyway. But little RPO number works quite well. I think 2's their kind of speed threat, and it's showing. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 was one of the players that Birdbrain has kept an eye on. That's okay, gets rid of it. Why? Why has he got rid of that? Just trying to play down for the screen, maybe? Was there someone on the other side we didn't see? It's all just taken up. So the only thing with those little in routes is that they can get... Oh, see, that I'm not sure what's going on there. Does well to get away, but it's all the time in the world there. And you can run. I mean, it's a smart play. I will not criticize a smart play of it. It's first down. you're going to end up 2nd and 10 because you're throwing the ball at the ground. I mean, I would say that's intentional grounding. I think one of my biggest, I say hot takes, but a take I have on football is that if you're just throwing a ball into the ground, that's grounding. If you throw it out of bounds on purpose, it's grounding. Like, you can't just throw it into the ground and then end up 2nd and 10 when you're 8 yards back. I think that's a really dumb rule, but that's okay. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to judge Kyle McCord. That was the screen I was looking for on the first play of the game. Executed a bit better there. Nice over the middle. Okay, that's the first, I think, missed throw that has really been a miss. And that's only really because he ended up kind of almost picked between two defenders. If you look at where the player runs, got hit by a safety. If he'd have kept going, would have been there. So I don't even think that's on him, to be honest. Wasn't number 2. So you got Orlando Gadsden is a tight end, and number 1, LaQuint Allen. Allen's the running back. So far, good placement. He's not just holding it, then he's ripping it. Yeah, I think that's the thing. This is I think the IQ's there. Like, that was a great throw. Sorry, but the way that came out was a little bit, knowing there's pressure coming. And a real flick round there. The spin on that ball, like, it's not real often you see it from that angle for a college quarterback to hard throw. Knowing you've got pressure from that side and you can't really extend, you've got to get the ball out early. So to shorten that release, knowing that he's going to get hit, get the ball out, get it on target. It's only for a few yards, but honestly, that's a really impressive throw. I'm really impressed by that. I think you're not going to hear all the praise about it. It wouldn't show up in a highlight shot. Oh, no, he's done it again there. Maybe that's just his throwing motion. He loves these little flicky ones. That's 2 in a row. That one was incomplete. I want to keep an eye on this now, see if he does it again. We've got a bit of rollout action. Goes through contact, so he's tough. We'll take that. I like that. Lofted over the top to Allen. So I've learned his name now. These short throws, though, he does seem to have a little bit of a flick. Even there. Look, I mean, conventionally, it's not the best throw motion in the world, but to watch is a thing of beauty. Really unlucky that one didn't go. He throws a go ball up there. I think he came off that first read. You can see it's an option play. The side 7 isn't the way. Looks over the middle, then goes left. And just look, he kind of falls away. I don't know if that's going to get coached out of him in the NFL. And it would suck if it does, because I love the release. I think it's such a pretty release of the ball. And I hate to say it, because no one is going to... I know what's going to happen with this reaction. The throw motion reminds me very, very much of one former Eagles quarterback. And I want you to try and work out who I'm thinking about here. What throwing motion? What quarterback does this remind you of? Just the throwing motion. I'm very intrigued to see if one of you guys can get it, because you all know me. You all know my guys. Which Eagles player, former Eagles player, does this ball placement, does the throwing motion remind me of? Andrew, nice to see you, man. Says, I think he'll beat out DTR, but he needs to work on his footwork. Relies on his arm a lot. We'll keep a closer look at that then. We'll definitely take a closer look. That's a great little throw over there as well. That's the touchdown one. Is that 2? Sorry, but on another note, while you're thinking about quarterbacks, this is the single worst defensive back play I've seen for a long time. I don't know who he is. I'm going to have to Google him. I'm not a fan. I hope he doesn't end up in any Eagles mock draft, because this is terrible. Not Thorson. Former Eagles starter. There we go. Former Eagles quarterback that started for a season. And I just want to see if you can get where I'm going with it. Because I think there's a real element in terms of the way it's such a short, tight release. And yet the ball comes out so perfectly spiraled. Like, it's a really rare... Like, there's some real zip on it. Because a lot of the time you see with these shorter releases that the ball tends to wobble a lot more in the air. It's not happening here. See, even that one's a bit too hot, really. Trying to go over the middle. But the placement wasn't bad. You've got a man just behind him. I'm not going to be mad at... Yeah. But Sam Bradford, I honestly think it's so reminiscent of Sam Bradford. And to me, Sam Bradford in my opinion, has thrown the prettiest throw I've ever seen. Like, no one has thrown a ball like it. Not necessarily the best throw or the most accurate, although he was for a season, let's not forget. But in terms of just the way the ball moves through the air and the release, and it just being so tight and round, it feels very Sam Bradford-esque. And I know that, we're talking about a quarterback from like a decade ago now, which is terrifying in itself. But I hope you get kind of what I'm saying with it. Because Sam Bradford wasn't a big, stocky guy. There wasn't a lot of drive in his throws. A lot of it was off the back foot. And that's kind of the same here, right? Where there's almost that like Scotty Scheffler shuffle with the front leg. And it's just all in the rotation and all that arm coming over the top and driving. And when it works, you just get absolute just 3-point buckets to the other team. I mean, true. Look, no, I will not have Sam Bradford slander on this stream, okay? Most accurate quarterback in the league for that 1 year. It's all we need. I think he's so underrated, Sam Bradford. I think like prime rookie of the year 2010 Sam Bradford was just a menace. And it sucked. If his ACL was held out, could have been I would say like an Andrew Luck level quarterback. Like, we could have probably been out of the league by now, but I think he would have been a few Pro Bowls to his name, would have maybe had a couple championship games. I think he was it. He was the real deal. I was buzzing when the Eagles traded for him. Another good throw there. I would say it's another good throw. I'll level with you. It's a lovely throw, really pretty throw. It's number 2 again. Bro, he is so bad. He's so bad. Oh, my mic's come out. Hang on. Sorry, my microphone unplugged itself. It couldn't handle the anger. Bradford played for a season. Well, no, I think he played for 2, didn't he? It was 20. Oh, it was 2015. Why did I get 2 from? Or was it 2? No, it was 2015. Yeah, what am I on about? 2014 would have been the end of Foles? Oh, it wasn't. Am I gaslighting myself? Let me Google this. I'm convinced it was just 1 year. Yeah, 2015. That was, 1 season. I think you just gave me CT as well, Greg, so don't sweat it. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of that in there, of just the way he throws the ball, which for me is great. That's an immediate win in my book. For other people, probably a massive red flag. I mean, okay, right, let's get to that, because that's not... Yeah, there's something about, I think, because that looks like... Okay, it's not a designed rollout, but... I see what you mean, Andrew, with the footwork. I think it's a little bit heavy, and that's both sacks that have happened now where it could have probably been evaded, but then he'll stand tough in a pocket and throw a ball like that. And that's a brilliant throw. That's a really, really impressive throw. I just want to go back and watch that one again. Like, that's really good. So you get sacked here off that left-hand side. 1 play later, again, tight release off his back foot. I see what you mean. It is very much arm strength, right? It's all upper body that is delivering these beautiful little spirals. But I think that can be coached. I mean, if you look at Jalen Hurts' footwork over the last... Like, when he first came out, he very much leaned on being light and nimble. And if you look at him in 2025 or 2024, he just became this, like, pocket master machine. Like, he was really hard to knock off his perch. Like, do you remember even a year ago, there was, or before the Super Bowl even, that there was this narrative that if you make him roll out to his left, then it's going to be trouble because he's only comfortable throwing one way. And as soon as you knock him off that perch, it's not nice. Like, if you look at him in 2024, he was just a really solid pocket passer. And when he needed to run, when he needed to move, he can make it happen. I think that will be a real benefit because this is a quarterback that is very stagnant, I think, in the pocket. Not statue level, but certainly, I mean, I know he's trying to get a throw off there, but if you look at some of the NFL quarterbacks that are starting, someone like a Josh Allen, a Joe Burrow, I would say Mahomes, but he's just an alien. You can go through and name any number of like the top 10. I think Jordan Love's a really good example, right? Where they're not stuck on their back foot, right? Like they're constantly they're on their toes, they're waiting, they're bouncing around, they're re-angling a lot. And you don't see a lot of that with Kyle McCord, like especially in this first game. But I mean, I think the throws are there. All of the throws, he's made every throw you could possibly want him to make in this one game. He's looked poised, he's run through contact, he's pushed through players, he's taken a couple sacks, made some smart plays, and is making number 2 look like me playing cornerback. Like, I would feel comfy lining up against number 2 as a wide receiver because he's that bad. Purely because I think of Harvey where McCord's got one more just for the end. Oh, I thought about it. But that was a good first game. I think that is a really good skill set to come out of. For a 6th round player, that I think is really good. Back hip needs follow through. He's not bad, just needs work. Yeah, I agree with that. I think you're right. It's almost like a golf swing. Like, it's probably a bad example, but if you get like stuck in a golf swing and you get a bit jammed, if anyone plays golf and you hear it quite a lot, it's, I'm getting stuck on the way down and I'm not transferring my weight through, and you end up slicing the ball. It's the same thing. And I think all of that power is just up top. And if you watch the best quarterbacks in the world, that it's almost like planting that front leg and it kind of rises up through, like from the front hip, then to the back, and then through the arm. Dude, I completely agree with that, Greg. My favorite Eagles game of all time. I've seen 2 Super Bowl wins, and for some reason, that Eagles, that was incredible. I think that and the Eagles-Cowboys overtime win was my favorite of all time. I think this year's Super Bowl is a close second. I think 2017's third. That Patriots game might be fourth because that was a remarkable game. Absolutely incredible. I don't know outside of that, actually, but I think there was the 2016 one with was it? I think against it was the Darren Sproles screenplay game. I want to say it wasn't New Orleans or the Jags. I don't know. It was one of the first games of 2016. Might have even been Carson Wentz's first game with the Darren Sproles wheel route where he just kind of flew it over the top. That was really fun. I don't know why that stands out so much in my head. I have really weird favorite games. Steelers. I knew it was a white team. I couldn't work out which white jersey it was. I'm trying to think other games. The NFC Championship game with the Vikings is certainly up there. That was the most exciting. But I think it gets to a point with those games where it's just so easily won that you're not focusing on the game anymore. Like, by the third quarter against the Vikings, it was just a party, which is amazing. But for a full game, like something like that, Eagles-Cowboys one where it went to overtime, something like the Patriots game, I think just feels a bit more complete. Same with the Super Bowl even this year, right? Like that Super Bowl win over the Chiefs, by halftime it was done. Like, we knew that they were going to win. So like the game itself is incredible and it was a hell of a performance. But for my favorite game, I think I'm a little weirdo and I like having the oh my god, it's all gone wrong, and then they win or something, like there's or like a marquee moment. I don't know. I'm a bit strange with that, so I apologize for angering any Eagles fans out there. My brother's a Rams fan. He was mad Bradford got traded. Yeah, I was a big Sam Bradford fan. So I'm going to try and not compare him to him too much. I feel like I'm just looking for my ex in a new woman, and that wouldn't be healthy for any of us. But yeah, I do see a lot of him in there for sure. He just felt like he throws the ball with 100% upper body strength. His hips are stiff. We'll watch one more game. We'll do one more. We've got time for one more, and then we'll dive a bit more into it and see how much of it kind of carries over. But I definitely see that. Eagles-Bills was great. Yeah, 2023. Brilliant game. There's been so many. I think we have been spoiled in the Sirianni era as well, for sure, right? Like, so many games where, I mean, I would even argue that the Commanders game this season in the playoffs was arguably a better game than the Super Bowl because there wasn't a consensus that the Eagles would win. And I know that against the Chiefs, it was like, everyone thought Kansas City would win. But I had weirdly more confidence against Kansas City than I ever did against the Commanders. I thought the Commanders could be the team to potentially stunt it, and it felt a little bit more tense for about the first 5 minutes, and that was a really exciting game. There's been so many good wins under Nick Sirianni, like, that you just forget. I think it's easy to focus on like the few losses that the team have had in that time, or when they go on like a bad run, right? Like, we can all remember the Tampa Bay blowout loss in the playoffs 2 years ago. We can all remember how they started the 2025 season with a very rough game in Green Bay, and it kind of tints your glasses a little bit, and you forget about some of those big wins that have then come later on. And yeah, there's I think this season's going to have a few bangers as well, right? Like, I think the schedule hasn't been too kind with giving us these like WrestleMania pay-per-view matches. But if you look at it this year, it is loaded with not only playoff contenders, but arguably Super Bowl contenders. And just to get it up, so for anyone that, might have need a refresher, because I don't memorize schedules. I know you can set it as your background and stuff, but So like week 1, they go against the Cowboys. You got the Chiefs, you got the Rams. I mean, the Chiefs will be a great game. The Cowboys' primetime first game of the season is chef's kiss at home. I love that. Rams, not really cared about. The Bucks should be pretty good. The Broncos could be a fun team. I mean, the Vikings could be interesting depending on McCarthy's development. Packers will be a fun game. Lions will be a fun game. Chargers should be interesting. Bears probably won't be. And then you end the season with, you got like Raiders, Bills, 2 against the Commanders at the end of the year. That's like half the season of like must-watch football there, I think. So it should be a good run. But before we go, we'll do one more breakdown here of Kyle McCord. So we're 1 game in, and we'll just take a look at him here against Virginia Tech and just see what he looks like here against a slightly different team. So I'll make the screen a bit bigger. I try and look for those same things, right? We're trying to look for, I think, the upper body tendencies. I think, is he a little bit stiff in his, well, that looks a bit more fluid. I mean, in terms of he's able to actually flip when he gets the ball. Very swift. But I don't even, see, that confuses me though. Because if you look, right, there's no way from that position where if you look at that front leg and it's bent and it's being planted into the ground, the momentum, by physics definition, should go through your planted foot and forward. And somehow it doesn't, and he ends up falling backwards a little bit, and he's now on one leg. And that, yeah, so I think there is definitely some lower body things to be ironed out. But I think as an overall quarterback, as someone that reads the game, like, great throw there, but luckily he's not playing against the number 2 cornerback from Miami because he's terrible. So that one's incomplete because this quarterback can actually cover. So we've learned something there. It'll be now intriguing to see what he, I don't know what that was, but okay. Not bad. We'll take that. Yeah, even there, he just does tend to fall away, and I don't like it when quarterbacks do that. Like, again, it's just it's the balance. I think it's the balance. I know your back leg comes up. Like, I understand that you can't just throw a ball on 2 legs and maintain posture. I get it, but to fall away rather than like to have that weight roll through and like around. It just feels like it's waiting for an ankle injury more than anything else. It's like watching Scotty Scheffler play golf. I mean, that wasn't a bad throw. I mean, that's a very good throw. Scanned that field really well. Went through 3 reads there. Darts one over the middle, caught by the receiver, and it's just, I'm not sure it was knocked out or whether he just dropped it or what, but that was solid. Oh, a little fake one there. Oh, he sold me. He didn't. I mean, I'll get a replay of this one. Yeah, so we might get a little better view there. That was a bit more stable, to be fair. That was a little bit more with the weight forward. Which Eagles rookie am I most excited to see in 2025? That's actually a really hard question. I think, based off the film rooms that we've done, Ty Robinson's up there. I really like Jahad Campbell, but I'm trying to not raise my expectations too much just because I know, that there's an injury timeline, and while he could be ready, they might not want to rush him in and that sort of thing. I'm genuinely a little bit intrigued about Andrew Makuba, especially after Devontae Smith's comments this weekend, which is crazy because the guy who got the comments was our own Corey Nido, PSN's very own, and flipping the birds regular now. So yeah, he went and he spoke to Devontae Smith and got that quote. So Smitty is very high on Andrew Makuba, which certainly perked my interest a little bit. And I came away from the film room feeling very, very kind of content with that draft pick. I think that there was a lot of confusion, as we said at the time of the draft, right, as to whether or not they could get a safety in the first round. There were so many other options they could have picked at the number they did. Why was it him specifically? And I think that after watching the tape and after hearing that feedback, I'm kind of in a bit more of a calmed and excited state. I want to see what Mac McWilliams does, because I think he was the most confounding player that I've ever looked at on tape. And I know you guys are all here in the trenches watching that with me. So he's someone that I would want to just keep an eye on from a developmental perspective, right? Of like how are the Eagles actually going to use him. But of all the players, I honestly weirdly think I think Ty Robinson is just going to be the guy. I think that he brings so much juice, and you're replacing potentially Milton Williams, potentially, vying for a spot a little bit lower on that depth chart, like DT3, DT4 as a rookie. I think there's some upside there. And yeah, I think that's all of it, really. Like, I think Smail Mondon doesn't really do it for me. The offensive tackles, I think we're not going to see too much of in terms of like regular season play. So yeah, I mean, Jahar Campbell will be the opposite one, but I don't want to hype myself up and then see him drop down or like, maybe miss the first couple of games of the season. I don't want that pressure on him from internal or externally. Just like get healthy, get up to speed and play when you're ready, and you're going to be a star. But Makuba, I think, feels like he has a little bit of something, which is very fun to say. Johnson on the Mills, you must watch. I'd say Makuba if he starts. McCord is more like Tanner McKee, more pocket, a mobile in the pocket, but not a runner. I agree with Greg as well, that I can see the comparison, but I definitely think McKee is the more established or like refined quarterback. Like the footwork is definitely better with McKee. And I'm really happy that you guys brought it up, because I think the only thing I noticed really was that it's quite flat-footed in the pocket, but you can't be throwing balls like this, right? Well, like, look at the hips here on this throw specifically. Like, how are you... It's a great throw to bend it round like Beckham, don't get me wrong. Like, it's a lovely throw, and I love the way he spins the rock, and I love the different types of throws he has in his arsenal, and that he can stand tough in the pocket just like that. When you've got guys all around you, you're probably going to get hit, and you can still step up and deliver a solid ball into the chest area of a receiver. I think it's really impressive. But part of me just does think, I think that might be a really good example there, actually. Because he's not hit there, and it looks like he just goes to the ground. Like, did that ankle just actually give way? I guess we won't know, but he doesn't get hit at all. Look, he just kind of folds. And the ball's still on target. I wish we had another view, but it looked like he just sort of lost his footing a little bit there. Nice grab by number 7. Kind of snatched it away from the corner. That was fun to watch. That wasn't. Jeez. Oh, that was horrible. So a bit of a different situation now. They're down 14-3. They're going to have to try and be a bit more aggressive, which we didn't really see in the Miami game. Oh. What in the... Excuse my French. What was that? What are they doing? That 3rd and 15. McCord goes out. Receiver just lobs it back into the pile. What are they trying to do? Fair enough. Okay, yeah, do that. Now you're down 21-3. That was a very bozo decision, but it's college football, isn't it? I suppose we've seen that was a nice throw. Just trying to watch the footwork. A bit lighter, but still. I mean, okay, I don't mind the falling away there, because you're falling away from pressure, and that probably works out in your favor, really. But that was okay. These receivers have got some game. Get there. He does, I think. Dropped it. Oh my god. See, that's a dumb rule as well. I'm sorry. I really hate that rule. But if you cross the plane to score a touchdown and you drop the ball, like, it can somehow then not be. Were there like 3 instances of that last season, where like the ball would cross the plane, but it would kind of then be fumbled as it crossed, and then it's technically a fumble, and then you have to do that weird play to give them the ball back. Like, it just makes no sense to me whatsoever. So, yeah, we could have that to Liam's list of NFL rants, where I would very much like to change a couple things. If they're happy to change kickoffs, I'm sure they can change the ruling on that and what intentional grounding is. And then it's the perfect game. Then you can leave it alone for 50 years until everyone develops Super Saiyan abilities, and you'll be fine. I like him on these short passes. Oh my god, they've actually got back into this game as well. They've taken the lead. That's impressive. So bear in mind, they were what, like 14-3 down? And they're now 28-24 down in the 4th quarter. So you've got a quarterback here that can lead potentially a game-winning drive. Hopefully. Or, Okay, let's look at that again. Let's see. This is where I think he's going to have to feel things a bit better. I think it almost feels like he's so resilient in the pocket that he just never wants to leave it, and you need to have that awareness. Like, you're not under center, you're in the shotgun. You've got to get a sense for that. Like, that's almost in your eyesight, and he doesn't move until it is so late. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's definitely fit. I mean, if you can improve the footwork on this guy, I think you're talking about a player that could absolutely come in a pinch in like the fourth quarter when you're up 10 and just bleed out the clock. You know, like, I think that really is someone that. Is that Power Island as well? I've just noticed. I think it is, isn't it? Antoine Power Island. Another Eagles player who will be taking a look at soon. So we could have done a double whammy here. I've only just realised. But I just love the variety of throws. Like, that one there looks like it should be really zippy. It's a nice little floater. It's a little bit too long. But the touch he has on the ball is really impressive. That's not his game, you know? But yeah, very intriguing quarterback. I think for a 6th round pick, that's going to be intriguing. That's going to be fun. Do we have any deep ball? Not that I've seen. I mean, we saw a couple, but nothing huge. Well, to watch the highlights to end it. What's up, Uncle Tom? Another smart young man from the greatest high school in the city of brotherly love. Glad we're back to having on 2 of them. What high school is he from? Are we talking about Kyle McCord? Where is he from? High school. He's from St. Joe's. I forgot he was actually from the area. Very cool. Makes it a little bit better. I'll take it back. He's going to be the starter in 2 weeks now. Right. Can we? Okay. He had a 5 interception game. All right. I'll tell you what. Let's do the opposite of looking for good things. And let's just take a look at this 5 interception game. Well, that's not as good. Jeez. Okay. This is also important, though, right? Because if we can understand his weaknesses and understand where he's struggling, then I think that also helps us paint a better picture. Because, I mean, that's a throw that I feel like that's just a routine throw. Like, that's what the 3rd game we've watched now, where the first play is his little in route or the out route here. Just a bad throw. Just a bad throw. DB undercut it. Really instinctive play by the DB, in fairness. It's just a little lightly thrown by McCord. That, in all honesty, was on target. Just DB jumped. Like, really good play there by number 11. So, all right, they're now down 7-0 against the undefeated Pitt. And we'll see if they can rebound. But judging by the title, I don't think they will. So, yeah, it's I don't know. I think that's... Oh, it's 31, by the way, not 11. But I think that's almost a better play by the DBs than it is a bad play by the quarterback. See, like, okay, is that one on him, really? Like, I mean, that's caught, bubbled up twice, and then somehow lands in the hands. See, how has that happened? Oh, 20 had it. Sorry, hang on. So I can't keep track of this ball. So the ball's up in the air here, then it's here, and somehow 20 catches it there. I don't know how that's an incomplete pass, is it not? That has to be an incomplete pass. There's no way that's an interception. Surely. Oh my God. Might be the greatest defensive player I've ever seen. That's incredible. Look, I know we're trying to be a little bit critical here to be fair for Kyle McCord. There is nothing you can do to about that. How are you ever going to put that on a quarterback? That is insane. Like, we've heard of the helmet catch. I've never heard of an arm catch on the floor. Yeah, that is... Well, that's thrown me. Bro, if that happened to me in Madden, I swear to God, my controller would be at a window or something. Could you imagine that in like the 4th quarter, you're up by 3 and your quarterback does that and the ball ends up on the floor and somehow that's insane. It was really so real to watch Kyle throw bombs to Marv Jr. when watching my school play. Like, I've gotten used to it over the years, but to have seen those two after DeAndre Swift is bananas. Oh, I love that, man. That's got to be so wholesome. Like, we don't really have that in England, or like especially where I am. Like, there's no one from my town that's ever done anything of note that I went to school with. So to see someone go from school to not only just the NFL, but for the team you support, that's got to be such a surreal feeling. And I'm really glad you get to have that. Like, that's genuinely wicked, man. He and Marv weren't a package deal to OSU, but they effectively were. Marv has a huge head, although he's earned it. Carl's more likable. That's good to know. We like a likable quarterback. Although I think now, to be fair, the Eagles do just tend to go on character traits, like sort of above and beyond anything else, really. Like, the character comes first. So that's automatically like a green flag. But we've got another ball bubbled up in the air. See, when I saw like 5 interceptions, I was genuinely expecting like the worst game I've ever seen from Kyle McCord. And all we've seen is just that, like, 3 of them have been batted in the air. One of them was on the floor. Okay, I'd take it back. In fairness, that is a terrible throw. Like, if you're looking at, you come off that read at just the wrong time, because you've got a guy there and you've got pressure here. Throw it where they ain't. Throw it where they ain't. Yeah, I just can't get a read on that. Cannot get a read on that. That's so weird to watch. I'm just sorry. I know I've just like frozen in time there, but I'm just trying to work out the decision. I had like 30 seconds of just staring at it. So I'm just trying to think what he's looking at, because unless you're anticipating the under here and that guy's going to get stuck, like, he's stopped moving. Like, there is no one there. You've got 2 defenders eyeing you up. You've got pressure here. There is no way that ball would ever go. There's no way. Yeah, that's a really poor decision. And it's the first 1 in 3 games. And one of the games we've watched is literally a 5 interception game from him. So I'm not, too mad at it. But that's, yeah, shame, really. I've noticed in recent years we've signed a lot and drafted local Philly guys. I think it's important, if you look at, someone like Jalen Reagor, who just didn't fit, Carson Wentz didn't fit, right? Like, where you need that almost experience, where you need to understand the culture of the city. Like, you can even go back, and it's a poor example, but even Joe Flacco, right? Like, someone that had been around the area and had played for Delaware and understands the pressure. And I think that kind of starts with like Georgia as well, where it's a high pressure city. It comes with notoriety, it comes with a label, it comes with a tag. And yeah, I think that it's really important. Like, there's a reason why also that Milton Williams draft, which would have been 2021, 2022, 2021, like, every single player drafted was a team captain, which is nuts when you think about it, right? So, like, every single player on that team, I'd say it was either a team captain or had a relation somehow to the Eagles, be it like a cousin of a player, obviously with Milton, or had like someone play for the team or whatever. So there's been a real run of that now. Like, where we're seeing more Georgia Bulldogs, we're seeing more team captains, team leaders, and guys that just glow in that personality regard. And when you run an offense, for instance, like the Eagles, where your number 1 and number 2 aren't going to end up getting a ton of balls, when you've got Saquon Barkley in the backfield, so you've got to have 2 very selfless wide receivers who are not going to get a ton of targets all the time. It's the same on defense. And I think that's starting to really bleed over. And now that you've got this sustainable, succeeding culture, that it's so easy to then find guys that fit it, because now is a proof of concept. Now is a proof that this works. And you're like, do you know what? Like, we can go and get guys that fit without having to go, they fit until it goes wrong, which is the danger. And that was honestly the worry with AJ Brown for a lot of people, was that if the Eagles start going downhill, is AJ still going to be as happy to give up those targets? We've already seen a little bit of passion and fire from him. And luckily, hopefully, as Kanye West once said, I guess we'll never know. So the Eagles are in a good spot, and I definitely agree that they're bringing in more guys with local ties to the team, and it's just high character players, which is really refreshing. And again, I mean, we've come a long way since the Nigel Bradham umbrella incidents. We've come a long way since all of that stuff. And, even a few years before that, where like Fletcher Cox was holding out on a contract deal, and there were just so many moving parts, and now it's just settled. Like there has not been a single dispute. There's not been a single player not turning up to OTAs, player tweeting weirdly outside of Darius Slay. Like it's just been so calm, which is it's just a real testament to the coaching staff and to the GM as well. I'm glad you appreciate the video, Tom. Thank you so much for watching, my friend. And if you can get a good pick from McKee, he's QB2 by year 3. But McCord's great value for a mid-6th. Thanks and take care. Go Birds and prep. Enjoy the rest of your night, my friend. And on that note, Bird Brain's very right. I'm not mad about that either. I think that is like the most clickbait 5 interception game I think you could ever get in your life, right? Like 5 picks and 4 of them were just bad luck, or like 1 of them was a bad throw, 3 of them were bad bounces and terrible. Like, you know, Duck does make a good point with Reddick. Yeah, okay, very fair. I kind of forgot about that purely because of how well the team rebounded after losing him, right? Like you'd think you'd end up losing a ton of production and it would hurt the defensive line. And even Bryce Huffy's replacement, who was awful, didn't matter because you ended up with Nolan Smith breaking out, Jalix Hunt looking good. Like, super team, man. It's a one-of-a-kind team for sure. Really, really is. So on that note, I hope you guys have enjoyed this stream. Thank you for all of your time this evening and over the last few weeks. It's been great to see so many of you across all of our streams, right? Like we had a Flyers one yesterday. We had a Sixers draft recap, which like I think over 1,000 of you tuned into, which is nuts looking back. And yeah, it's been really fun building out this YouTube stuff and continuing to work and bringing you guys content, especially in a part of the year where it's all very, very quiet and a little bit boring. So to try and bring some pizzazz to it is certainly the aim. Did I see the video Huff said he running out in training camp? No, I didn't. I actually didn't. I have to try and dig that up, Andrew. Was that with the Eagles last year? Or like this off-season kind of before that, which may have led to the trade? I was going to say, you can't be doing that to Sam Fran. I appreciate you, Dirk. That means a lot, man. That's really kind of you. But yeah, so tomorrow we're going to have a Sixers stream. Friday should be Phillies. But I know it's Independence Day. So if I don't see you on Friday, happy Insult Liam Independence Day / We Hate the Redcoats Day. Let you have a 24-hour pass to be as mean to me as you want. I will fully take it. It happens once a year. It's like your Christmas, right? I've got to be a Santa once in a while. So have a great Independence Day. Happy 4th of July for all of you. And we'll go again either Friday or Monday. So until next time, go Birds. If you could leave a like on the way out, that would be absolutely brilliant. And I'll see you soon. But before I go, a quickly answer to Andrew because I didn't want to miss it. I was really worried that as I was going to exit that Andrew's going to be rushing a comment and not be able to reply in time. He spoke to a San Fran content creator that he knew. It wasn't going to work out and wanted to be traded. Glad he's gone then. Very glad he's gone then. No room for that, right? And I think Howie's made a good decision. If you can recognise a mistake early and cut ties, then it saves everyone the headaches, right? Like that contract was going to get very, very bad very, very quickly if they didn't act when they did. And to spot a player that doesn't want to be there and get rid of him, just get it gone. And hopefully he rocks in San Francisco and puts up 2 sacks a year for the rest of his career. But until next time, I'll see you soon and go Birds.